Because that's one thing AI can't do. AI can analyze your stats, your analytics, your numbers, but they don't have the human touch. So that's one of the things. Like, how do we build community in the age of AI? How do we design better buildings and spaces in the age of AI? For instance, sorry, I'm going on a tangent. You designers create really beautiful restaurants on paper on Instagram. You go to the restaurant and you can't hear your date, or your father has a hearing aid. It's so loud because the space is just so loud. They didn't design for sound. So that's the
Mm.
thing. Like, we humans can experience, we use our five senses, and AI cannot do that. So how do we use our five senses to make decisions and to build community and connection?
Welcome to Breaking Ground, Women in AEC Leadership podcast. This is the show that lifts the voices, journeys, and insights of women shaping the future of architecture, engineering, and construction, and it's brought to you by Unanet. If you're in the architecture, engineering, or construction space, you know how critical it is to keep your projects on time, your teams aligned, your pipeline growing, and your finances in check. And that's where Unanet comes in with project based ERP solutions, CRM solutions, and an AI growth suite built specifically for AEC firms. I'm your host, Rihanna Dempsey. In each episode, we will connect with professionals across the AEC industry to share real stories and hard earned wisdom. At our core, we believe that a strong, diverse workforce drives innovation and success, and that women are essential to building the future of AEC. This is more than a conversation, it is a community focused on growth and lasting impact. Let's get started. All right. So if you watched our early episodes, I was flying solo as the only host here. But Sarah Brown is now joining me as the co host. And she's really the reason we've made it this far. She's been doing so much behind the scenes. So now she's on the scene. And you can look forward to having her as a co host with me from now on. So welcome, Sarah. And
Thank you. Happy to be here.
yes. And also, welcome to our amazing guest today, Aya Shlachter. And Aya is the CEO of MGS Global Group, the host of four podcasts. I was really excited when we got one going. She has four. She has AI for Architects podcast, Architect My Business podcast, Her Space Female Architects podcast, and the Ask Aya podcast. So I think you have more experience than we do. Hopefully, you can help us through this episode here. Um, and also, those are, fun, important things, but also she is the mom of two kids. And she was just given an award from the Global Filipino Women's Network 100, naming her the most influential Filipina in the world. So she is just so accomplished. I'm really excited to welcome Aya to the podcast. So, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for doing this and inviting me as a guest. I'm really excited.
And now that you say that, we should give a shout out to one of our first podcast guests, Ellen Bensky, because you met Ellen out at an event recently, right?
Yes, we went to AEC Thrive in early October, and I loved Ellen. I'm a big fan. So it's
Yeah.
nice to be in the same podcast as Ellen.
Yes. And I love that she was like, you've got to go talk to Aya. So I just love that the community is so connected. This is really great. And okay, so before we get into the meat of it, we like to start with just an icebreaker to kind of get things going. And one of the common topics we sort of see floating out there is the concept of like CEO routines. So super successful people have made it to the CEO, seat. Is there anything you can share that brings you joy or that really drives your success in terms of like your work week routine that you have?
Oh my God. We just talked about this in my EO retreat. My work week is what used to be really good, but not anymore. 3 days a week, I roll into meetings at 7 a.m.
Ooh. Wow.
because my team, part of my team is in the Philippines. So we start at 7, which is 7 a.m. my time, 8 p.m. their time for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I wish I could have woken up early, like at 5, to do what the CEOs do, they exercise and meditate. But no, I'm not that kind. So Monday to Wednesday is pretty bad.
Yep.
And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I ease into my day. I meditate, I journal. Those are the days when I really have a routine. Have coffee, listen to music, journal, exercise, and then get my day going. But those 3 days, Monday to Wednesday. I'm very mindful of my team in the Philippines. It's 8 o'clock there in the evening.
Yes.
So I need to, improve my morning routine.
That well, you know what? Thank you for your honesty too. So it's like you don't have to be perfect either. I love that you're like, "Hey, I've got the days where I've got it down," but then, you have to make those adjustments
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
yeah. Well, that's awesome. I am also a reformed I hate mornings, but I have to be a morning person right now. So Sarah and I have actually been and I've been bad about texting you in the mornings, but we were both trying to motivate each other for if
Morning
I don't
buddies.
get it done in the morning, the little kids take over the evening. So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, well, I opened a little bit and kind of, gave our audience just a tidbit about, you, but could you walk us through maybe just like a 2-minute history of Aya and you can give us, career background, but, feel free to weave in some personal nuggets too for us.
All right. I moved to the US at 19, for college. I'm turning 50 on Sunday. I moved here to study
Amazing.
architecture. And we do the architecture route, went to school for and then do like the 3-year I was working to get my licensing, right? But after working for 5 years in a company, I gave birth. So I decided to quit my job and work from home, maybe study for the architecture boards. But then my clients, after 6 months of, being at home with my daughter, they kept on asking me to do work on the side, schematics, design development, drafting. So I said, okay, I'll do that while studying and taking care of my daughter. And then I got a big opportunity to work with Coach, the brand Coach bags.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they gave me a friend of mine used to work there, so they gave me one store to do, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of like not that difficult. So I built a team from my apartment in Queens, in Jackson Heights, Queens,
Oh, wow.
while breastfeeding my daughter we can say that, right? Because we're all
Yes.
women.
Yes, we can.
So long story short, that became my first big client. We did over, I think, 300 stores in 6 months from my apartment.
Wow.
Because it's those stores from the department stores in Macy's, Nordstrom, the built-in shops.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
found a system to how to replicate this and train. I think I had 3 people working with me at nights and weekends. And
Wow.
so that was my, the reason, that was the beginning of, my company, MGS Global. It was MG Schlachter back then, but I'm like, this could be a thing, right? This is 2009. So nobody did this. And I went to Columbia University, right? And I'm supposed to be a star architect, or that's what other people wanted to. But I'm a drafter, and I'm really, we really help architects with production. So that's how it started. And I tried to get my exams and studying, and one kid, second child, and like I got busier and busier. I later on became the retail girl, like coach. I mean, Michael Kors hired me, and I have a lot of retail clients. So that's what got me started. And Michael Kors has been a client for like, I think, 17 years now.
My
We got
gosh.
over like 4,000 shops for them, like, we're their, like we help them with construction documentation and production. And I'm like, this is a viable business. So I decided not to pursue the traditional route of being an architect, but then helping architects. So now we've diversified. We now are in healthcare, multifamily, hospitality, place of worship, even like parking lots, gas stations, McDonald's, Chipotle. I don't pick, as long as you can help architects.
So you guys, just for everyone on the call and for people that might, over in the construction world that are listening, so you're not doing the designs per se? Like, how does that
No.
work?
So what happens is architects don't have middle, especially nowadays, it's hard to find staff, especially the people with 5 to 10 years experience.
Yeah.
And I'm filling that gap, right? We do architecture schematics all the way to construction documents. So
Okay.
architects will give us their designs up to conceptual design schematics, and we take that from schematics all the way to construction documents.
Okay. Okay. Wow,
Yeah.
that is very, I'm sure, very valuable. Like you said, we hear about the talent struggle all the time to find.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, it's an accidental business. I didn't think this was gonna be a thing, but I'm happy because I'm helping a lot of solopreneurs, mompreneurs, big companies. Right now that we're 18 years in the business, our clientele has expanded, and we're getting bigger accounts, meaning, you know, clients that have huge, company sizes and budgets.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm very
Amazing.
happy where I am.
I cannot imagine those early days and how busy that was with the little babies and starting your business, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was very rough. I would work till like 2 a.m. almost every day because whenever I got red lines or markups, they were all red because they were scaling up, and we couldn't. We were learning and also doing production every day. I would look at the red lines. I'm like, oh my god, it's so bloody. We're gonna get fired today, but we're still here.
That's funny. Red lines, bloody. That's funny. I've never
Yeah,
heard that, but that's funny.
yeah.
Well, the other piece, so I also think it is incredible just how far you've come with AI. Like anyone can go and look at your LinkedIn page and look at the MGS Global page and look at your own website and see. I've listened to like two of your podcast episodes, and it's like, wow, like, because to me, AI, it's definitely here. I've been dabbling, but a lot of people I think right now are trying to sort out like, what do I do? Where do I start? And like, I would love to hear about your AI journey, anything you can share with kind of, where you started and where you are now.
So I started using AI in 2023 on the first time I used AI, I tested it to plan my trip, a side trip in Switzerland. This was 2023, so I'm like, I'm in Zurich. Can you give me a side trip to go somewhere an hour away that's, that I can be back in a day? This was early Chat GPT. They gave me the place that I need to visit, how far it was from my hotel to the train station. They even asked if I'm a walker, if I like what type of
Huh.
food I wanted, like, and I said, I have allergies right now. I can't walk because I have asthma. So they gave me the entire itinerary in like 2 minutes. And even the cost of the bus ticket or the train ticket and places to eat and my return ticket to come back to Zurich in one day. And I was blown away because I travel maybe 30 times a year, right? I'm like, I don't need travel agency. I don't need to find my flights. I can just ask Chat GPT. So that was me being AI curious. And then my encounter with AI, the second time was at AIA conference in Washington, D.C., when I saw a speaker show his platform that could pretty much erase architects. Like, there's a site, you put in your requirements, they will do analysis of the zoning and all the setbacks. You input how many rooms, and it will build it for you in maybe 2 to 3 hours. And then I became AI anxious. And I'm like, how is this gonna
Mhm.
affect my business? Right now at this point I already had like 50 employees. And I was so nervous about it that I'm like, okay, I need to do something. But I realized everyone is going through this. It's called the valley of despair, when it's a tech term where people start as curious and then they become anxious and then they become really confused. And now people are gaining clarity around AI. So what I did was, because I'm paranoid and I don't want to be replaced, so I started doing research. We formed MGS Labs, where we had, I think, two people research all the AI tools. We took like 6 months to do all the research. We bought subscriptions and all the things, created a research report. And when education is really it's empowering when you're educated, you're more confident moving forward because you know what you know and you know what you don't know. So that research report really opened my eyes to the possibilities and opportunities, right? But then I realized, okay, well, I have all this data, might as well start a podcast. So I launched the AI for Architects podcast. And early on, I was sharing all our AI tools, but that's in our research report. People can see that, and that's being updated, yearly. So that was the start of the AI journey. I was so nervous we were going to be replaced, but at the end of the day, it's just an amplifier. It won't replace us.
Yes. Yeah, I have heard that quote. I'm sure you've heard it. It's something like AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI. So it's like if we just like sit there and ignore it, yeah, there's
Yeah.
going to be people they're going to be 20 times more efficient than those of us that are like, "Oh, I'm going to just pretend it doesn't exist." So yeah, I totally
Absolutely.
agree. It's not about replacing us for sure.
Yeah. And I have a lot of friends who are so anti-AI, and I'm like, that's just technology, right? I mean, it's like using kitchen tools. If you have 1,000 potatoes to peel and you're in the restaurant business, you'll find a tool to peel 1,000 potatoes in an hour as opposed to having 30 people peel 1,000 potatoes in 2 days, right?
Oh, that's a great analogy. It's very simple, but very effective. That makes a
Right?
ton of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And well, and the other interesting thing when we were talking, Sarah and you and I briefly got to catch up. I think it's interesting because when I look around at our company, at least, and we're encouraging people to start tinkering and really dive in, I see a lot of, like, the men just, like, trying stuff and seeing what works, but I think sometimes as women, like, we're a little bit risk averse, and I know that's not because I know you're not risk averse, we talked about that, but, like, I do think there's something there that I would hope people hear this and just say, "Just try it." Like, even if you fail, you screw something up, just, like, you gotta get out there and start, like you said, maybe it's take a course. Like, there's plenty of free courses, there's also
Yeah.
a lot that are, not too expensive, but, like, get out there and start trying things, don't worry about messing it up. That would be how I'm approaching it.
Exactly. And a lot of people have asked me, there's so many tools. What tool can I use? Should I hire a consultant? Consultants will cost 100 to 200,000. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. But you as a firm owner or you know your workflow, so find something that can help you with your personal workflow, whether it is, I'll give you an example, right? For me, I get a lot of emails, and I read a lot of articles, but I'm also on the go. So I have this app called Speechify. Again, I'm going to give you an example of how I use AI. Have you heard of Speechify?
I have not, but I'm writing it
Okay.
down.
So this is a hack for me. Like when AEC Thrive, right? I wrote all my notes in a and all my slide notes, an hour of slide notes in my Google Docs. But then I had to travel and all the things, and I wanted to memorize it. So Speechify is an app where you load your document in Speechify app, and somebody will read it for you. It's I picked Gwyneth Paltrow because I like her voice.
That's great.
So on the airplane, I just kept on listening to Gwyneth Paltrow read my slides. So that's a hack, right? Like,
I love that. That's
but
so cool.
what was so amazing about the hack, right? It's a it's like $3 a month or whatever. But that is helping me with my content because I speak a lot, and this is technical content I need to remember, right? So what happened during AEC Thrive? I walk into the room, there were skylights, right? I don't know if you were there, but there were
I
skylights.
wasn't there. We had a bunch of people from Unanet
There were
that couldn't
I
go.
presented at 1 o'clock or whatever, and nobody could see my slides because of the light. And then my eyeglasses turned into sunglasses.
Oh, oh no.
And so I couldn't see my notes.
Oh my
But
gosh.
then Gwyneth Paltrow was in my head already. I'm like, I got it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I got an email. Thank you so much for your presentation. I know you couldn't see your notes, but it was very. I handled it with grace.
That's amazing.
So it's
That could
that
be
like
very scary. Like, that could be very scary. So that's
yeah.
incredible.
So like it doesn't have to be this massive, like tool. Another tool I have is I have a Kindle Scribe, right? Kindle is, it's a Kindle book, but Scribe is actually it's a notebook where I take notes and I create a lot of content and blogs. I picked Kindle Scribe because I can take notes and there's an AI feature that will convert it into notes and into a summary.
Oh, nice.
So that's, like again, that's AI. I'm not talking about replacing my drafting team with all these amazing tools or, for me, that's what works for me. The Scribe for my content, Gwyneth Paltrow reading for me, right?
Yeah.
Or some AI tools for meeting notes. Again, very simple hacks, right? For documentation, for instance, there's my people, my staff, they're looking at clash detection for QA/QC, right? Because when people are tired, it's hard for a human being to catch all the mistakes.
Oh, yes.
Again, just one part of your workflow, and then you can build from that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a great confidence boost because it's like focusing on, hey, what are these micro advantages versus the overwhelm of creating something that can do everything for you. But if you just take it in these like baby bites, it can really make a huge, improvement and lasting impact.
And
I
also
love
for
that.
moms like us, right? There's a new AI tool called Ohai. Have you heard of it? Ohai?
Nope.
I have not.
Okay, Ohai is interesting because it will tell you, your kids' schedules. They have a database of all the schools in all the entire United States. Or for instance, right now I have 4 recipes that I'm using, my mac and cheese and sweet potato casserole and all that, right? So Ohai, you can load that in Ohai. It will give you all the ingredients and put it in your Instacart, right?
Oh, that's game changing right there.
Puts it right in the Instacart.
Yes. So
Okay.
that's what I was
Okay.
saying. Like the old me
Here's
would
the
have
life change.
printing, and then I have to look at my grocery. Obviously I have to check my pantry, but I have to go to the store now and buy like 50 ingredients, right? But it's already in New York. I'm not in New York, but it's the lady who founded it is New York based. So it's Instacart is a thing. I'm in Ohio, so I'm gonna test that out, right? So it's already it will put it in your cart and it can get delivered to you. Imagine looking through all the recipes, and guys, you know what recipes are like. They're ads over ads
Oh
over.
my gosh, you
Yes.
scroll and scroll. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
So those little hacks as a CEO and mom, it can help prevent burnout, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you just segued into another topic that we all, I think, struggle with as working moms, and that would be mom guilt. So you're a CEO, like we already heard about how you're nursing your child and starting a business and you travel a lot. Like how do you kind of, shut off the mom guilt? And do you have any tips or tricks to share with those of us that, definitely get those feelings?
Mom guilt is real. The first time I left my daughter, she was 8 months old. I went to the US to meet my client, and I was heartbroken and crying on the airplane because she was still nursing. Oh no,
Mhm.
my second son, I was still nursing, right? And I was heartbroken and crying, and my mom was like, "Why are you crying? Your son won't remember that you left, like don't give yourself heartache." But like now that I'm traveling so much during, their younger years, which as I'm a little bit embarrassed actually that I leave so much. I kind of hide it from some of my friends and family because people tend to judge your lifestyle, especially if it's not a traditional lifestyle. So I just kind of block that from my mind and just see what my husband is super supportive. He holds the fort. I have a community. My mother-in-law lives, 5 minutes away. My nanny, my nannies, and I used to like Ellen. I used to cook all their meals for however much time I'm gone, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I organize it. I catalog the food. I have everything in
Oh,
the refrigerator. But that was before when they were younger. But now I really feel guilty because I miss a lot of things. But I ask my kids first, like, would you be upset if I went to this conference? They'll say, no, mom. But I always ask them, like, for instance, one Mother's Day, I got stranded in New York. I couldn't come back, right? I said, is it okay if we celebrate Mother's Day later? She's like, yes, mom. Why don't you enjoy Mother's Day in New York? You have an extra day. They're very understanding.
oh,
But the most important thing is quality over quantity. You have a lot of moms who are so burnt out and overwhelmed and screaming at the kids and nagging and like they're not present for their children. What I try to do is I'm very mindful about one-on-ones with my kids, right? Whether it's, treating my daughter to if I go to New York for a work trip, I'll take her with me for 2 days in the weekend and really bond. And she'll remember that mom took me to New York for 2 days as opposed to she left for 5 days in a conference, right?
yes.
So what
Yeah.
is that thing that makes her, my son goes to pickleball and tennis and jujitsu. I try to do all of that when I'm in town so I can talk to him in the car, right? Like
Yes.
little things. Yeah.
No, that's great. I love the quality over quantity too, because I do think we all And I think it like you said, I try not to judge. Like I had a stay-at-home mom, and so I'm constantly like, "Well, geez, I'm not doing that for my kids, but my mom did it for me," so I'm always beating myself up, but I try to like exactly what you said, like, I think sometimes I'm a better mom because I do get kind of a break during the I say a break, like, at work, but at least, like, my brain is focused so that when I get to pick them up from school, it's like I am so excited to see them, and, there's I think there's pros and cons of all of it, but we definitely beat ourselves up, so, that I love that quality over quantity, and I'm gonna start I feel like I need to plan out more one-on-ones for sure, like, that's on my I have a lot of
When
notes.
they're young, especially when they're young, because when they're
Yes.
in like 15, 16, they don't want to hang out with you.
Nope, I know, I know. My daughter's 11, I'm like, we're just I can see it happening, like, it's she still likes me right now. She even wants to dress alike sometimes, I'm like, I'm embracing it because yeah, she might not speak to me next year,
Yes.
so, well, speaking of daughters too, we had a really fun idea. Sarah, do you wanna talk about your idea and introduce our other special guest?
Absolutely. So speaking of kiddos and daughters, so I'd like to welcome a guest, additional guest, to the podcast. This is Noelle. Noelle is a
Hi,
creative.
Noelle.
She's Filipina. She's 10 years old, and she got a little break from school this morning so she could join us on this podcast.
Yay.
And she is interested in architecture. And so, Aya, we're very excited to meet you, and she has some questions.
What gave you the idea to start your business around AI? Was it scary at first?
Mm.
Yes, it was scary, but if you don't do the hard things, you will never be successful, right? If things were so easy, everyone will be successful. So that's my thing, right? I try to do the hard things even though it's so uncomfortable. And I tried to when I launched my podcast, I really the podcast was ready a month in advance. I didn't want to launch it because I was afraid people would criticize me or hate me for doing that because when I started, AI was not really that popular. It was negative that hey, AI will replace. Meanwhile, I'm talking about AI. So yeah, don't be afraid to do the hard things. It was very hard. I couldn't sleep for a few days.
That is good advice.
Okay, for my second question, when doing research on you, I saw you started a chocolate cafe. I love chocolate and architecture too. How did you find the time to do it?
Oh my god, that I didn't talk about. You're amazing.
I didn't even see that when we were researching you. Noelle, we
Used
gotta hire you.
AI.
Oh my
So
god.
I asked her to do some research, and she used AI this morning, and that's
So
a fact that she found.
so in 2008 when I moved to the Philippines from New York, the economy crashed, right?
Yeah.
You remember, you probably don't remember, but I was living in my parents' basement in the Philippines and I'm like so poor because like Michael Kors and the coach, they were not building. So I'm like, what kind of business can I start? So the Philippines has a very rich chocolate drinking tradition. So I'm like, everybody likes food, and the chocolate drinking tradition was not popular among the young people. It's more for the working class, and it's only sold in the wet markets. So I created a concept called Tablea Chocolate Cafe, bringing chocolate to the younger generation. And my first store was a really cute kiosk, and then I had my second store in a nice strip mall that looked like a Starbucks and really fancy, and that grew to 6 branches. um,
Oh.
so I also do that. Like, my mom and I co-founded the cafe. It's called Tablea Chocolate Cafe, and it's been around as old as my son. So my first business I started when my daughter was born, and my second business I started when my son was born. Who starts a business with newborns?
Just gonna say, I feel like a big underachiever right now. I ran.
Oh.
How did you do that?
So like, oh my God, you're amazing. Yeah, so that's why a part of the time I also go back and forth, to see, check out the cafes. Now my brother has taken over, but I'm still part owner. And we started that business and it's exploded. And, we're one of the top chocolate cafes in the Philippines. And we also have products. We have chocolate mixes, different flavors. We have ready to eat products and A lot of good food.
That is so is it like, silly American, I've not been to the Philippines. Is it like hot chocolate? Like, is that what we would
Yeah.
compare it to?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
hot chocolate and one of our signature dishes, two signature dishes, chocolate con churros. Because
Oh,
the Philippines was colonized by Spain for 300 years, and I have this chocolate. It's called Sipping Dark. It's very rich. You sip, and then we have churros. You dip in it.
oh.
That's one of our. And then the other one is puto maya. It's chocolate with sticky rice and mango, and we eat that together.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
I would eat all of these things. They sound amazing.
yeah. Did you know she was gonna ask about the cafe?
I certainly
I had just
didn't.
we just found out about it. So very cool.
Amazing researcher already.
Yeah.
It was so fun having you. Thanks for joining.
You're welcome.
So cute.
Thank you
It
so
has
much.
been amazing to have you, and this interview has really touched on so much that I wish we could just keep going. We might have to bring you back for a part two.
Yeah.
As a final question, if there is really a lasting piece of advice that you would leave us with today, what would it be?
So in the age of AI, right? It's so hard to a lot of people are very confused, right? Especially in terms of decision making process, right? Like moving forward, it's everything is so confusing, and we're inundated with a lot of information. One of the things that I would really advice, not really advice, but this is how I'm planning to move forward, is mindful leadership, right? Like, how do we lead our team and make sure that we're leading from empathy and not from like stats, right? Let me give you an example. If you, I went home one time to the Philippines and I saw one of my team members. He started having white hair, and like a year later, I'm like, what's going on? Like, I talked to the leader and said, why he looks a little stressed out. You can see with their face and energy, right? So you need to be aware of your surroundings and the people around you in terms of how you lead, because at the end of the day, people buy from people, and that's not the thing that AI cannot replace. So lead with empathy and really observe the people around you. So ended up talking to the person. He said, "Yeah, we're a little burnt out because deliverables are so tight." And that's because I saw his appearance. So I went back to the client and said, "Hey, the deadlines are too tight. We need to scale back. I don't want my team to get sick." Things like that, right? Because that's one thing AI can't do. AI can analyze your stats, your analytics, your numbers, but they don't have the human touch. So that's one of the things. Like, how do we build community in the age of AI? How do we design better buildings and spaces in the age of AI? For instance, sorry, I'm going on a tangent. You designers create really beautiful restaurants on paper on Instagram. You go to the restaurant and you can't hear your date, or your father has a hearing aid. It's so loud because the space is just so loud. They didn't design for sound. So that's the
Mm.
thing. Like, we humans can experience, we use our five senses, and AI cannot do that. So how do we use our five senses to make decisions and to build community and connection?
That is a great piece of advice, and I think it's, something we're all gonna have to continue to wrestle with as, AI is not going anywhere. Yeah. Well, and actually, Sarah, can we have a final question? Because I was also thinking about,
Yep.
I mean, you opened and you shared with your having a milestone birthday this week, which is amazing. Congratulations. Because I think I'm sure all of our podcast guests watching, when you said you're turning 50, they didn't believe you because I didn't believe you. But anything, as you look back on, that big milestone birthday, like anything that you would advise your younger self maybe? Like, what would you tell your younger self that you now know?
Don't dim your light.
Mm.
Everybody is unique. And as a Filipina, you know, um, it's easy to, especially in in the architecture profession, we try to dim our light and not voice our our ambitions. We just especially me, I grew up in the Philippines. I was always working head down. Everybody is unique, so share your story and never dim your light. And if you can, you know, if if you can provide value to other people, then there's no harm in like starting a podcast or starting a blog. So we're all human beings and everyone has imposter syndrome, I think.
Oh,
So
yes.
why not, share your light.
I love that. That's amazing. Well, I just so appreciate all three of you being on here today. And I thank you. Just, it was amazing to hear your story. And so many, like you said, Sarah, we could have many more podcasts to talk about all the different things that you've done. But I want to definitely thank all of our listeners for listening to Breaking Ground Women in AEC Leadership. If today's episode resonates with you, please be sure to follow, leave a review, or share it with someone in your network. And if you have a story to share, send us an email. Our contact information is in the podcast bio. And until next time, keep breaking new ground.